When did you realize your friends weren't actually your friends? Was talking to her during class and she just says, why don't you have other friends? It was terrible, especially since this guy behind us just froze at her comment and stared at us to see what happens next. Edit. I honestly didn't think this would get this much attention and criticism, but I'll give you the context of this. Also, I'm sorry to anyone saying they had similar experiences. That feeling really sucks. I, female, was extremely close to her since elementary school, and this happened in middle school in the middle of class. We were just talking normally when she just blurts this out, which is why I mentioned the guy. I think he was talking to us when she said it, and he happened to be my crush's best friend. So it was even more embarrassing that he heard this. Also, I wasn't always bothering her with my problems. In fact, I had always felt left out because it seemed like I was more her friend than she was mine. I did have other friends, but like I said, me and her were close. Also, the relationship didn't end between us. It did end though when she moved a year later, but after that I figured out the type of person she was. Also, her question didn't sound like a friendly question, which is clearly why I am still hurt by it after all these years. Went drinking with my best friends. We were a group of 5 college girls having a blast at a bar. I got drunk, but still remember some of what was happening. We were leaving the bar and a guy was talking to one of my friends. Let's call her friend G. He came over and grabbed me by the waist and he said, your friends are following us to my place. Let's go to my truck. I was drunk and this guy was still holding me while we walked to the parking lot. I was about to get in this guy's truck when another friend ran and grabbed me. Later I found out that my friend G had made a deal with this guy. He gave her weed in exchange of her fooling me to go alone to his place. My friend sold me for weed. Edit. Didn't know this was going to blow up. Thank you for the awards, and especially for your concern. I honestly didn't think much about the reality of what happened until after I told the guy I was dating back then. He was rightfully enraged. I'll offer some advice that comes from 40 years of figuring things out. 1. If they make you feel bad more often than they make you feel good, they aren't your friend. 2. If they talk about mutual friends to you, they're also slagging you off to those self-same people. They aren't your friend. 3. If you are constantly the butt of their jokes in front of other people, they aren't your friend. 4. If they undermine your achievements, or are only supportive when they want something, they aren't your friend. 5. If they're ducking your fiancé behind your back, they're definitely not your friend. Bit of a specialist category, that one. When no one checked if I was okay when my dad died. When I got ill, once they realized I could no longer throw parties for them, they all left. When I had a large hole in my foot after stepping on an iron spike, they laughed as the ambulance guys closed the doors. One of the ambulance guys said, some friends you've got there. I realized he was right. When I tried to be her wing woman for this guy she was crushing on, but the guy liked me instead. So she crushed up some of her Xanax and put it in my drink, and then left me by the side of some old train tracks. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up like it did. Thank you to everyone wishing me well. To give a bit more info to the whole thing. No, I did not contact the police. At the time I was with a very controlling narcissistic partner and my first thought upon waking actually revolved around what would happen to me if he found out. I thought I somehow blacked out on 2 drinks and this was all my fault. So I did not tell anyone for a long time. However, she did. Being the person that she was, she actually bragged to a mutual friend of ours about what she did for stealing the spotlight, and that's how I came to know it was her and the drug she used. After our mutual friend found out, she came and told me, and then everyone stopped being friends with the psycho. I never ever in a million years I thought I would need to protect myself against another woman while drinking, let alone a friend. I have severe trust issues now, but I guess it's better than being naive. When they left me bleeding and concussed on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere in Cuba to find my way back to the resort completely disoriented. When I told them I was detoxing and cleaning up on taking drugs, and they proceeded to offer me more drugs, take them in front of me and egg me on to take more. When I left, that was the last time they spoke to me. Edit. This was a few years ago now for context. Around 3 or 4 years ago. You all are amazing. I hope that if anyone is dealing with similar issues, They can use some of the advice here or feel free to drop me a message absolutely anytime. Edit 2. Honestly, thank you all so much for the kind words and the Reddit awards. Big thanks for the timeless beauty and gold. I didn't think this would actually gain so much traction. I will do my very best to reply to everyone. But as I keep saying, if anyone needs someone to talk to, please feel free to start a chat with me. I'm always happy to talk. Mum got cancer and I had to come home and drop out of college to help the family. Said I might need some emotional support etc and got ghosted the next day. Reality part is I helped one of them with their grandmother's cancer and brother's attempted suicide. I would never hear from anyone unless they needed something, usually when they wanted it for free. When I realized I was practically harassing them to hang out with me, just gotta get some self-respect and learn to let it go. Edit. Thanks so much the awards everyone. I shall hang them on my wall. I was like a decoration on their conversations with each other, and they only talk to me to tell me things like be quiet, or can I borrow this PLZZ. When I was in deep depression and finally opened up to my friends and they made fun of me saying I was only trying to get attention. Edit. I did not expect this to get so much attention. I thought it was simply gonna get buried and forgotten. But for those who asked, I am much better now and I haven't spoken to them in years. Also, thanks for the awards. When I broke up with a girl that I had dated for less than 5 months and they all abandoned me for her, and then I found out they all were taking a trip to Colorado together and nobody even bothered to tell me. I found that out on Facebook. No one came to my graduation party and I wasn't invited to anyone's. Edit. While this blew up, my most popular comment is a really crappy memory lol. Thanks for the silvers. And a hug. I can't really have a party between lockdowns and strep throat. But reading all of your kind words is making this a pretty nice birthday. So thank you. Edit. First gold. Best birthday ever. When they're only called you when they need something from you. When they need you to be there for them, but don't want to be bothered to be there for you. Me and 2 girls were walking down the street and they completely ignored me, so I was walking behind them. Then I decided to just turn around and walk back home. They didn't notice and they never asked where I went. That really hurt. Also at another point one of the girls came up to me and just flat out said to me, sometimes I don't understand why you have friends. Well, recently I've started wondering about it too. When I stopped initiating conversations and all communication stopped. When you need help, so you start writing him a message, then see 3 unanswered messages from you asking for his helps, and right above a conversation of you helping him out for hours on stupids. When we started dating, edit, should have stated more clearly, when we fell in love, cause a lot of people think what I meant was bad. When they start hiding things from me. When my best friend had her BF cheat on her, and the group of people who witnessed it didn't say anything for a whole year. It made me question their morals. Like, if I was in my bestie's position, would they not say anything for a whole year? Not to mention, they would talk massive amount of crap on us when we weren't around. So yay. After middle school, I realized that my friends weren't actually my friends, since they'd spent basically the entirety of it bullying me and making my life a living hell. I was so used to being abused and mistreated. I thought that was what friendship was. It's unfortunate that the leader of it all got to live a good life, and I'm just fortunate that my friends from high school, who also knew this dude, believed me when I told them what kind of a person he was to me. Not my story, but a mate's. Guy invites all his high school friends, he's known them around 10 years, around to celebrate his new house and newborn daughter. All the lads he invites drop MDMA in his lounge room and spend the night tripping without him, not even caring that he had all this amazing stuff he wanted to celebrate. Guy walks up to the ladies, who are obviously unhappy with the situation, and tells them, "I've just realized these guys aren't my mates. They are just using this event to drop and have fun on their own." Hearing that story broke my ducking heart. My best friend from high school didn't invite me to his wedding. When I realized that my 2 best friends just came over to mess with me and make fun of me together. When he ripped me and our other friend flatmate off for $700, and when we confronted him about it, he took all his nice stuff and left us to get rid of his trash and never paid us our money back. So essentially we were down $700, meaning we had to come up with that money. We had to continue paying rent etc with one less income, and we had to pay to get rid of his crap. Duck you Vance. One group of friends I had was a group of 7. During restrictions in London you were limited to groups of 6. Guess who was left out almost every time? Edit. Wow, I didn't expect all these responses. Thank you for all the support. Don't worry, I do have a few groups of friends and a wide support network, so this didn't affect me that badly. It more just made me take stock and think, oh, I'm definitely number 7 in this group, so I should take that into account when I decide who to spend my time with. When they greet you in the morning, not with a good morning or hello, no what's up, no hey there, it's you got some weed, like duck. Dude, no, I don't have any weed for leeches. When in my senior year I found myself completely and utterly alone after a difficult breakup. When I got rid of Facebook, on the plus side, it did show me who the real friends were and who I was willing to keep up a meaningful relationship with. When I moved and no one ever visited me or called when I had kids and never invited me to their weddings, and if I was sat at the random table. Either we were super tight but I was just a random to them. I was in a band with my closest friends, and we used to travel a lot for gigs etc. because it was just for fun, and we all had real jobs. Sometimes one of wouldn't be able to make it, and I noticed that whoever wasn't in the car would get ruthlessly slammed by my friends. After 3 or 4 times I worked out that if I wasn't in the car, they would say bad things about me. So one day I say I can't make it to the gig, and I send along a colleague from work to take my place. Next day he reported back to me that they spent the whole trip there and back hanging it on me, and not in a fun way. They genuinely were not my friends. Never spoke to any of them again. A quote I love: they aren't real friends until they defend you in your absence. When I stopped buying pot and alcohol for them and they disappeared. When I realized I had a crazy high standard for what a friend was supposed to be and understood no reasonably self-involved individual could ever live up to that. Friends are now just human beings that currently enjoy my company due to mutual hobbies, interests, and are under no obligation to do anything more than that. I have so many friends now. I haven't been invited anywhere, even out of pity, in over 5 years. Everyone is my enemy. We were seniors in high school. It was when a friend asked me to write her entire senior research paper because she was failing and I said no. She then went on to tell the entire school about my past sexual abuse, which I had disclosed to her in confidence the year prior. That's how I got the nickname Alabama for the rest of the year. It was my brother who assaulted me when I was 5 and he was 15. As a small consolation prize, she failed senior year, dropped out, works at Walmart last I heard, and has 3 kids with 3 guys. I went on to get my nursing degree, work IQA, and am happily married. Duck you Nikki, you got what you deserved. When I got sober. When someone else told me they said they're only your friend because they feel sorry for you and tried prying as to why. Me and this girl were both in school counseling for absent fathers, so hearing this after she left the school was kinda devastating. Not to mention, another reason I won't trust anyone. I'd never had friends. And this was 4th grade. I just wish I knew why I was so pitiful. So sad. They felt they had to pretend to be my friend. I had one best friend when I was 12. Long way back. About 9, almost 10 years ago. Drama started. Any newly teenage girls would. But it was different. She always blamed me. Played victim. Never once would admit she did something wrong. We had many falling outs, but they never lasted long and said it would be better. We went to different high schools and I met some other friends who were my real friends. She was insanely jealous. Tried to break me away from them. A few years down the road, after I left college, I became friends with a mutual friend of ours. A lot came to light. I learned all about the lies she said behind my back. I had proof of this, and when I confronted her, she would of course deny. On top of that, she would ditch me, ignore me, and veer it on and off. She'd be besties with one friend at a time, and if there was drama with one she'd come crying to me. I still stayed. Last time we were friends, she met a guy and it became all about him. Stopped hanging out with me. stopped talking to me half as much. Basically I was once again an afterthought. Something traumatic happened in my life, secondhand for me but with someone in my life I'm very close to. She made it all about her and showed me she didn't care about me or my soul at all. Drama ensued and I dropped her for the last time. Been a whole year without friendship now and it still sucks. 10 years I was tormented by her. I could go on for days about what she did to me. And it's pretty juicy. So yay. That's that. Crazy. But when a very toxic ex-GF made note that they weren't my friends, I didn't listen. After recovering from that horrible breakup, I started dating quarantining with a really nice lady. Friends I fed, partied with and traveled with were jealous and would start picking me apart in front of said lady. End of the story as everyone is gone now. Should have listened to toxic GF. 1/10 would not repeat. When they chose to believe a rumor over me, well so and so said this about you. That was when I chose my own path and those that wanted to keep me as a friend decided to do so. So one of my friends, capital E, talked to my girlfriend about wanting to meet her up alone and watch a movie or go to the beach together without me. My girlfriend told me but I was too scared to tell my other friends fearing they would hang out with me anymore. Later another one of my friends, capital O, got himself a girlfriend and after a while noticed he doing similar things to his new girlfriend. P, however, told me and the fourth friend S about it and we broke contact with E. I also told them about what he had done to me and that I didn't tell them because I feared they would stop hanging out with me. After a few months later O and his girlfriend broke up and about 2 weeks afterward both O and S were talking to E as if nothing had happened and I just stopped hanging out with all three of them. Pros: I grew as a person and I cut off fake friends. Cons: that was 2 years ago and I haven't had any friends since. When I was getting abused and they didn't care or rather just left my life entirely. When he told me that it was okay for me to make a sexual advance on him and that he wouldn't stop me. He also knew that I had just broken up with someone months ago. He called days later with a friend to shout at me over the speaker that I was using him and was a whore. So much for trying to reunite with a childhood friend. When I have to be the first to message them or they won't bother to talk to me. I went 3 months without a single text from anyone. When I had sex with a girl in a festival. When we went out of the tent the day after they were all laughing at her for having sex with me. I had a friend that I'd known for several years. One day I got a phone call where she basically had a friend of hers talk to me after she showed him a picture of me. I later met up with the guy at my job and trusting that she was setting me up with a cool guy, I agreed to a date. He later forced me to touch his D. I froze and later excused myself from the date, having felt so confused because I couldn't fathom something like that happening to me. But it did. I spoke with her and told her everything. She told me she was jealous that he paid so much attention to me and that I should be flattered. I told her she was welcome to date him if she wanted but to be careful. She said she was no longer interested because I didn't want him. Stupidly, I didn't listen to my gut feeling and continued the friendship. She continued to screw me over until I ended up in a mental hospital in part due to her. Years later, I finally broke contact. I'm so much happier and healthier now and nothing she did can take everything I've worked for and achieved. When I was in a fragile mental state and they thought it was funny to make me break down, and they have the nerve to leech on me a few hours before a test, I ended up leaving them to fail instead of helping. This happens to me way too often. I find the easiest way is to stop being the first to text. If they really care about you as a friend, they should at some point text and say all good. My hardest ever realization was my research buddy. We would do so much together. I picked her up in the mornings on the way to the lab. We would go with each other to do field work, go to lunch or dinner together all the time. She came to my wedding. My husband and I helped her escape an abusive relationship. Then after she left that guy and suddenly had this newfound freedom, she felt that as a married woman, I would be a wet blanket on fun. So she cut me out of her life. Encouraged my other university friends to do the same. I ended up leaving my PhD, and this was a small reason behind it. I actually went and fetched my stuff in the middle of the night so that I wouldn't have to see anyone in the lab. After I quit being pro sportsman and I wasn't cool to know anymore. They kept trying to duck me.